almost didn't go to the reunion. 10 years felt like too long, and honestly, I didn't have the energy to pretend I was happy to see everyone. But my old classmate Mia wouldn't stop texting me. She said it would be fun, that everyone was coming, that I'd regret missing it. So after days of saying no, I gave in. The reunion was held at this small event hall just outside town, the same one where we'd had our graduation after-party. I hadn't been there since. Driving up, I felt that weird mix of nostalgia and dread. The parking lot was full of familiar cars, but most faces I saw walking in looked older, heavier, quieter. It was strange. Inside there was music playing, old pop songs we used to dance to, and a big banner that said, "Welcome back, Class of 2015. I spotted a few people I used to talk to, and for the first hour or so it actually felt normal. We laughed about old teachers, shared life updates, took photos. I even started to relax. Then I saw him. He was standing near the bar talking to a few people I didn't recognize. Tall, calm, neatly dressed. At first I thought he looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. A minute later he caught me looking and smiled. It wasn't a creepy smile, more like recognition. Still, something about it felt off. Later, while I was getting a drink, he came up behind me. "You don't remember me, do you?" he asked. His tone was friendly, but something about the way he leaned closer made me step back a little. I told him I wasn't sure. He laughed and said, "It's Connor. We had history together. Junior year." The name didn't ring a bell, but I pretended to remember. He seemed nice enough, though his eyes didn't leave mine for even a second. We talked for a while, small talk mostly, and when Mia waved me over, he said he'd come find me later. The rest of the night was a blur of faces and music. But every time I looked around, Connor was somewhere nearby, talking, watching, or just standing at a distance. When I finally decided to leave, he was waiting by the door. He smiled when I saw him, like he'd been expecting me. "Heading out?" he asked, tilting his head slightly. The parking lot behind him was almost empty now. It was close to midnight, and the soft hum of crickets had replaced the music inside. "Yeah," I said, trying to sound casual. "It's late." He offered to walk me to my car, and before I could say no, he was already stepping outside with me. It felt awkward to refuse, so I let him. The air was cold and quiet, and for a few seconds neither of us spoke. When we reached my car, he leaned against the hood. "You look different," he said. "Back then you were always quiet in class. I used to wonder what you were thinking." I laughed lightly, trying to keep things friendly. "I guess people change." "Not everyone," he replied, his smile fading just a little. There was something about his tone that made my stomach turn. He didn't sound threatening, but there was an intensity in his voice, like he wasn't just remembering me, but something specific I didn't recall. He looked down at my car keys. "You live around here?" I nodded, but only vaguely. "Still nearby?" "Same," he said, his eyes flicking toward the road. "We should catch up sometime." "Maybe tomorrow?" I started to answer, but before I could, Mia called my name from behind us. She was standing by the hall's door, holding her phone up like she was recording something funny. Connor turned slightly, smiled again, then stepped back. "I'll text you," he said softly. I didn't remember giving him my number, but maybe he'd found me online or something. It didn't seem worth worrying about. I said goodnight and drove off, watching in the mirror as he stood under the yellow parking light, hands in his pockets, not moving until I turned the corner. At home, I tossed my bag on the couch and kicked off my shoes. The house was quiet the way I liked it. I poured myself some water and sat down, scrolling through the few reunion photos already posted on social media. That's when I saw one that made me stop. It was a group shot, me, Mia, a few others, and Connor standing just behind me smiling. Only the caption underneath didn't match. Someone had tagged him, but the name wasn't Connor. The tag under the photo said Ethan Ward. The name didn't mean anything to me. I stared at it for a while, then clicked his profile. It was private. No picture, no posts, just the default gray icon and a few mutual friends from my high school. Still, something about it felt wrong. I sent Mia the photo and texted, "Do you know this guy?" She replied a minute later. "Who, Ethan?" I typed back. He told me his name was Connor. It took her longer to respond this time. "Wait, really? That's weird. He wasn't in our class. I think he came with someone else." I stared at her message, my chest tight. If he wasn't in our class, why did he know so many details? Why did he act like we'd had history together? I tried to brush it off, telling myself he must have been joking, or maybe I just forgot him. But an uneasy feeling crept up as I thought about the way he'd looked at me. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Had fun tonight. Hope you got home safe. I froze. There was no name, just that one message. No emojis, no punctuation, just plain text. I didn't respond. I told myself it was probably him. Maybe he'd found my number online. I put the phone down and went to bed. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to a faint sound. A car engine, slow, steady, idling outside my house. I tried to ignore it, but it didn't leave. I got up and peered through the blinds. A dark sedan sat parked across the street, headlights off. I couldn't see who was inside, but I didn't have to. Something about the angle, the way it faced my house directly, made me feel sick. I turned off my lamp and stood there in the dark, watching. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then the car started moving. It rolled down the street quietly and disappeared around the corner. I went back to bed, but I didn't sleep much after that. The next morning, I woke up to another text from the same number. "You looked even better than I remembered." My stomach dropped. The message felt too personal, too knowing. I didn't reply, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking as I stared at the screen. I checked the number. No name, no profile picture, just 10 digits I didn't recognize. I took a screenshot and sent it to Mia. She replied almost instantly. "That's not funny." "Don't mess with me, what do you mean?" I typed back, "That number. It's from a guy who went missing 2 years ago." I froze. She sent a link in a local news post with a blurry picture. The headline read, "Man found dead near Old Creek Road. Possible homicide under investigation." The face wasn't perfectly clear, but it was enough. The same neat haircut, the same sharp eyes. It was him, the man I'd talked to last night. I felt dizzy, my mind spinning in circles trying to understand what I was seeing. Maybe it was someone else who just looked like him. Maybe it was a prank. I wanted that to be true so badly that I almost believed it. But then came another text. "You shouldn't tell anyone about me. It ruins the fun." My hands went cold. I turned my phone off, threw it on the couch, and started pacing. The house felt smaller suddenly, like the walls were closing in. Every creak made me flinch. By the afternoon, I convinced myself I'd imagined half of it. Maybe the photo was old or the internet was wrong. I went outside to get some air, but as I opened the front door, there was something on my porch. A single Polaroid. It showed my car, parked in my driveway. The picture had been taken sometime that morning. I could tell by the light. I looked around, heart racing, but the street was empty. Just the quiet hum of distant traffic and a dog barking somewhere down the block. I ran back inside and locked every door. That night I slept with the lights on. Every sound, the fridge clicking, the pipes groaning, or made me jump, and then sometime after midnight, my phone buzzed again. I almost didn't want to look. But I did. It was nice seeing you again, Emily. Maybe next time we can be alone. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. My name, he'd used my full name. I never told him that. Nobody at the reunion called me Emily. Everyone just called me Em. I tried to convince myself it was just coincidence, but my hands were already trembling too much to believe it. I called Mia, but she didn't answer. I called again, nothing. My heart was pounding in my ears now. I grabbed my jacket and car keys, planning to drive somewhere, anywhere. But when I opened the front door, my porch light flickered. There was something taped to the door. A folded note. It wasn't printed or typed. It was handwritten, shaky but neat. You shouldn't have left so early. We weren't finished catching up. My throat felt dry. I backed away, shut the door, and locked it again. I didn't know what to do. Call the police? What would I even say? A man I met at a reunion who might be dead just left a note on my door? They'd think I was losing it. I sat on the floor trying to slow my breathing. A few minutes passed. Then I heard it. 3 slow knocks on the back door. I didn't move. Another 3 knocks. The kind that come from someone patient, not angry. I crawled toward the hallway quietly, hoping maybe it was just a branch hitting the glass. I peeked around the corner. The kitchen was dark, the curtain swaying slightly from the open window above the sink, and then, just for a second, a face appeared in the glass of the back door, pale, still, watching. I stumbled backward, hitting the counter. The face was gone. I didn't wait. I ran to my room, locked the door, grabbed my phone, and finally called 911. My voice shook as I told them someone was outside. It took the police 12 minutes to arrive. When they searched the yard, there was no one there. No footprints, no note. Even the Polaroid was gone. They told me it was probably a prank and left after a while. I didn't sleep that night or the next. A week later, I got a message request on a new account. No name, no photo. Just one sentence: can't wait for our next reunion.